with that. I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
We just signed in with Google.
We signed in with Google. Signed in with Google everywhere.
Everywhere,
so,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like most things. It's like, oh, do you want to create a new account or do you just want to sign in with Google? I'm like, fuck it. So sign in with Google. Although I haven't done. I was on app like Death Watch there for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I was actively scrubbing a lot of apps off my shit. And goddamn it, if like not like learning how to program a little bit, there's like so many new apps out there that I gotta have now, man. So, it's just like, yeah, actually, I do need Visual Studio, so let's put that on here. It's like, oh yeah, actually, maybe I will actually take a look at Blender. Thank you, So and stuff. Yeah, it's just it's nuts, man. And so all of a sudden, I went from like bare minimum apps to like having a fucking shitload of new stuff on my computer that I'm not familiar with. But it was like, oh, you need this. You need that. Okay.
I guess I do.
I guess I do if you say so, buddy. So, yeah.
Well, if you can't perform the task without it, then I suppose you need it.
I suppose I need it, man, but like... So this whole thing, I've had to peel it back. So one guy that I got started with on this thing started out like, oh, here's your water wings, get in the pool, kind of thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, there's sharks and rain and where'd you go? kind of thing. It just, the difficulty on it went parabolic. So,
no shit.
Yeah. And so I felt a little bit ripped off by that guy. So I found another guy. So, and he's like, oh, well, actually, yeah, that's really hard. You should do it this way. So I was doing it his way for a little bit. And then same thing, his lessons just stopped. So I was like, God damn it.
They just stopped.
They just stopped. So yeah, I mean, there's no way to tell when you start it up, like, all the content that's in there. So it was like bullshit. So I got my money back on that one at least. So, yeah, so you got to kind of vet these things a little bit, man. So,
wow, that's
it was weird. I've never had that happen.
I mean, is the expectation at that point? Are they basically saying, when they stop, are they saying that you're free to go, sir? You've learned everything. You're no longer an apprentice. You are.
Yeah, but you're not.
I mean, is that what they're saying, basically?
One of them was, yes. That was the one where I was like, oh, wait. Oh, I thought this was going to be like a much longer course, but basically it's like, okay, there's this much lecture material, and then there's this much homework behind it.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, good luck in your next 50-hour project. It's like, wait, what? I thought you were going to show me how to do this shit.
So what do you... All right, I'll flip it around on you here. I would say, what is it that you want? What is it that's ideally, in the perfect course, what would they give you more of or different?
Definitely more of the coding part. So, like 80% of this guy's class was like, okay, here's how you make this thing. Here's how you make it move. Okay, but then they didn't teach you anything about like, it's like, okay, well, like how do I make a guy walk across a screen at random?
Sir, as a subject matter expert in curriculum design, where have they gone wrong?
I don't know, man.
Because it sounds like this course did not prepare you.
It was definitely oversold. We'll put it that way. It was definitely oversold.
Okay.
And then on top of it, so it said, and so this pissed me off because it said it had just been updated last month. But as I'm going through like a bunch of this dude's lectures, I noticed they're like 2.5 years old.
Is that so?
Yeah, and so they had gone through and like inserted these, like they had a binder and they just put little notes in it saying, for the new one, do it this way. And it's just like a paragraph of text. But then when I'm looking at his screen and looking at my screen, I'm like, well, I got the new version. It don't have that button.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So now, and it's like, oh yeah, refer back to the technical documentation, which is impenetrable. So,
is it bad?
It's bad. It's bad. So yeah, it's like, what is the? I don't even know what this is. So and then it was like cross-referencing different things, and it's not hot linked in there. So you have to go back out and search for that thing. So it sucks. So Yeah, so Unreal Engine is definitely the deep end of the pool.
I guess
I've discovered this.
I suppose that that would have been the is the problem. So is the issue that the point where they throw you in, is there a certain amount of expectation that you have X amount of training in certain courses or
So
knowledge?
they say no, but I can tell they mean yes. So
So that's
that's the problem.
that's absolutely
Yeah,
wrong.
it is wrong. They say no, you don't need any blah blah blah, but then after a little bit, it's like, yeah, I do. Yeah, actually, I really do.
I see.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so
No, I understand completely. So I mean, the only problem that I have right now is that you're not versed enough yet to the point where you could actually write a better guide.
oh Lord, no.
You know what I mean?
No, man, I'm very new.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, I don't even know what questions to ask. So
exactly
that
the ones
point.
you're asking.
yeah, I'm not
Exactly the ones you're asking.
right. I'm not
How do I do this?
right. Yeah, is that hard? You know? So
Maybe even a reverse approach where you come into this thing and you say, Professor, I have an idea to make something like this, and you present something that's rudimentary or something like that, some kind of you tell me. It's like, I want to shoot something, I want to knock over this guy, and I want it to knock over the apple cart.
okay,
Right?
that's not that hard. I can do that.
This is all right. So you would have to get to the point where you'd have to add the complexities where you would reverse this and say, so I want to do this in a game, right?
Right.
So get to the point where you can't do what you want to do right now.
Yeah.
And that's what you ask us the question at the
How do I
beginning
do
of
this?
this.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Because if you could write, so if for a modest fee of $49.99, you could purchase or download Patrick's real guide,
For dummies. Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was looking at different apps. I'm gonna try and there's a couple of them out there that I'm gonna try. So that are kind of like, well, you're still doing the Japanese, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably going to be the best way for me to do this. So it's just start from the very beginning and just find there's a couple of them out there that I've looked at. I'm like, all right, we'll try your 30-day free trial. Give it a shot.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm not spending more money on a Coursera course until I have a little bit more of a foundation underneath me. So
You definitely got into it, man. And I really appreciate the approach that you took where, this is, I don't want to say it's quite undercover journalism, but I mean, in the same approach, it sort of is in this, I mean, with like no risk. This is not, so you're not infiltrating the Hells Angels, fucking, what is his name? Fear and Loathing guy. What is that? God, what's his name? Why can't I remember his name now?
Vonnegut? No, that's not. No, that's Hunter S. Thompson, right?
Yeah. So you're not doing that, but at the same time, you are jumping right into something that is seemingly walled off in some ways, where people see the
Yeah.
whatever their idea is, if they don't have the technical background already or have been training in this, they feel walled off from it,
Yeah.
right? And so the fact that you had that perspective and dove in and can actually point out these weaknesses and say, no, I didn't learn this.
I don't feel prepared, sir.
Right. When you said that I don't need to know these things, I don't know these things.
Right. I fulfilled my end of the bargain.
Right.
By not bringing shit with me.
But I have not learned
Right. Yes.
what you have promised that I would learn.
Yeah. So there's another course that I might take that's actually it's a different engine. So like the thing about like some of Unreal is like playing with like the Sims editor.
Oh.
It kind of is. So you can place shit pretty easily.
Sure.
You can find stuff in the
Sure.
library. You can reskin stuff really easily.
Okay.
So you can change where your light sources are and things like that. So it's all designed for 3D, like over the shoulder or first person view, stuff like that. It's got a ton of like just stock animations in it that you can use. So I can make one guy hit another guy. That's actually pretty easy. Okay, if you know what you're looking for. So and you know you can set up your hit boxes and your hurt boxes. That doesn't take that long, but it doesn't teach you shit about like, okay, so how do I make this cash register work?
Oh.
You know?
That's a great question.
Right.
The only thing I would think of is there a good just general forum that people post this stuff in?
There are millions of them. That's the problem. And then
All right.
like the whole industry is cloistered in behind Discord doors. So, and I refuse to go in there.
You know,
I don't belong
these
there.
are these are people that you're too good of a person to buddy up to these people.
I can't do it.
There's a certain amount of your human decency you have to swap in order to.
I'm not willing to trade it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to make you offer up your
It's a bad trade. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
White shut style.
Right,
and,
yeah. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask for pictures of my cats,
Yeah.
too, you know? So,
They're going to make you do weird stuff, Pat.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
They're going to beg me
Freemason
for a
stuff.
job.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute, you have a real job and you're trying to learn this stuff? Well, I know how to do this stuff. I can do it for you if you give me a job. So, and it's
Right.
like, no.
Right.
And yeah, then I don't learn it. Then I pay you to do it. So, and I'm not interested in that. So, anyway. So yeah, like I'll peel it back a little bit. I actually need to learn like a language. And so like before I did take one class in C a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah.
This was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
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 So and then I did another one in Visual Basic, which is built off I think that's actually built off C. I don't think it's actually basic. It's not actually basic. Yeah. That one was a long time ago.
It most certainly is. I wish I could tell you.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, they're all sort of. I mean, basic is their progenitor. There's.
Yeah, but you don't have to like enter the command line, you know,
No.
10, 20, 30. Yeah, I remember all that shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then like so like the Unreal Engine, like you can have all your controller commands in there and all that stuff just with basically a couple checkboxes.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't actually have to program any of that stuff.
Right.
But the one thing that I noticed, if something's busted, you have no tools by which to fix it.
That's where you'd have to go into the code.
Or something, I don't
Yeah.
know. Or you'd have to know what to look for. So, yeah, which there's no way to diagnose problems. See, when I do stats programs,
Yeah.
I know what the diagnostics look like. And if I see one of the diagnostics like this, I know where the problem in the math is. Okay, because it's not supposed to do that. So I can go into the data and I can find, oh, yeah, there's my offender right there. You know, kind of thing. Just doing a simple sort and stuff because I know how to read the diagnostics. This thing, it was like, dude, why is my guy's arm like, you know, right? Yeah, exactly. Why is it like a freaking piece of aluminum foil?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's like, that's not supposed to do that. It's like, I checked all the boxes you told me to check, buddy. So, and it doesn't work. And so I have no ability to troubleshoot in it. So,
Right.
which is hard. And man, it's hard for me to learn something if I don't know how to troubleshoot it. So, yes.
It's funny that you talk about languages. Yes, that's the same difficulty that I face.
With Japanese.
Yeah, well, and so I do it off of two programs, and William does things a different way than I do. He sticks to one, where basically they just keep with Duolingo. Essentially, they just keep feeding it to you, and it's sort of. I mean, I get their model where essentially it's like. You will eventually understand the breakdown of things via just copying what they have here over and over and over again.
Right. Yeah.
Now, that being said,
It's the radiation version of learning. You know?
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah, you haven't heard that before? Yeah, that's what it is. It's like being exposed to radiation. Eventually it sticks.
That is, I mean, that's one thing. But then again, the truth is, like, he and I are now approaching almost 2 complete years on.
Wow, it's been that long?
Yeah, he's like 45 days ahead of me. I'm at like 600 days, so he's at like 645.
Okay.
So we're approaching that bridge. And the thing is, he's no closer to being able to explain the dynamics of the language. I can at least do that.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
My head hasn't fully wrapped around to the point where I would naturally like construct these sentences on the fly just without it, right? Because when it comes down to it, like, I mentioned this before, it's, subject object verb, that's the simple version of it, right? But everything is strung together with
Orange eat.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the basics of it. However, you and I both know that that is not how sentences work in real life.
No.
In terms of how people actually speak. It would be great if it was. But ultimately, everything is hooked together with a series of about like 7 participles, right?
Right.
One of which is basically, one participle is essentially every preposition.
Right.
Right? When you put it in a sentence and you translate it,
Yeah.
okay, it is at, near, around, for, right?
Right.
With the same goddamn word. Right? So when you translate this into English, right?
Mm-hmm.
You automatically use that to compare one for one to set the place of objects in relation to each other.
Right.
They don't.
Oh, okay.
They just don't. This is basically for you to infer the relationship within this. Is this going to be at or to or whatever? It's essentially just letting you know, I'm going to put this here to say preposition, and it's not called a preposition particle. It's just me, versus like day, which is by means of, right?
Okay.
And so it's word, participle, word, participle. So it's this weird sort of
Okay.
and sometimes adjective,
Right.
word, participle, and there are certain things where the expected placement within the sentence. So you would put the time modifier at the beginning of the sentence versus anywhere else where it fits, depending on what you want to emphasize in English. Right?
Okay, so soon, now, later, right?
Right.
Got
or you would say breakfast after.
Got it.
Right. So there is some bizarre quirks to it, and I get it. And that has just come from basically breaking down. There's another one that gives you that I use where you have to see the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
You see that there, and so I have to do the construction on each sentence to have it make sense. I don't have to do that, but I prefer to do
Right, yeah. Well,
Right.
yeah.
So now I get the construction of it, and it is. Here's the problem, Patrick. If I didn't have a extreme, I think this is the same problem that you're running into here. Is if I didn't have a complete, fundamental, advanced knowledge of English, I would have a hard
Yeah.
time breaking down this language.
Yeah.
To them.
Well, you
because I
took
don't
a
know
whole
what to
class
compare
on
it to.
diagramming, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought you had
Yeah.
a dedicated class where all you did was basically break apart sentences.
That was yeah.
Yeah.
I most certainly did. Yes. And that's sort of where I think you are. Is
Yeah.
they say that you don't need this stuff, and I'll bet you in some ways. I don't know how they could say that. I don't. Obviously, in the same way that they're giving this to William here. I would say that. So I have a hard time approaching language, just essentially teaching common phrases and phrases you're likely to hear and reuse, right?
Mhm.
I don't know how somebody can teach something without going down to the basics and saying, all right, well, here are the mechanics.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But I also understand why that's extremely difficult and why that's, problematic, because the first thing that you have to do is, well, in order to teach a second language, I got to teach you your first language first.
Yeah, you got to actually know what. Well, I mean, and there's common denominators amongst all languages.
Yeah.
So yeah, which you can't even master those in your own language, or not even master, but just recognize.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So like, I'd be lying if I said that. Like I even have students who come into the graduate school at some points in time they don't know their parts of speech. And
A lot of people don't.
Yeah,
That's fine. You speak without them all the time.
And
all the time.
It's totally fine. But when you're trying to write concisely and with purpose, it does help to know all those things immensely.
Well, Patrick, it's exactly that same thing you came across there is if you don't know those things, you can't look at something and say, like, this is broken, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
How do I fix this?
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't feel right. Or, again, it's that arm moving like a windsock. It's like, I know it's not supposed to do this, but I don't know how to fix it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's some things that I did pick up along the ways where it's like, okay, that makes sense, and now I understand why they do things this way or whatever. I'd find something like that every now and then. It's like, okay, got it, but then there's other things where it's like, why do I need to go back and refer back to that same thing that I was just talking about again? I don't understand, so, and it's like, why do I need to put this command in here in order for this to work? And then there's other things where, like some of it, like just the variable types and things like, I know all those. So, I mean, that's fine. It's no different than statistics in a lot of respects, and the math isn't, there's like, okay, you don't need to be like some super calculus genius in order to be an effective programmer. I'm seeing that already. So now, granted, there are a lot of people who are.
I bet you it helps.
It kind of, but like, I gotta be blunt with you, man. The math is pretty simple.
Is it really?
Yeah. For a lot of the things that you do. So now, if you want to take something in like the Unreal Engine, and you want to make it so rather than you have like this normal like, like the standard jump that is in every first-person shooter. If you want to make it so that you're actually going to fly through the air at 300 miles an hour, it's not that hard.
I imagine there's just a couple of settings, you just have velocity or whatever to.
Just change. You just change. It's something that's called an impulse. All jumps are like an impulse, where it just says one-time change of plus 20 on a y-axis. Okay,
that's so you're going even easier. I'd imagine that would have been way more complicated back in the day.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's the stuff that's all baked in there.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to jump in a different arc, okay, that's hard. Okay, because you got to know how to program all that shit then. Okay, but if you just want to change the speed or the height that you're actually jumping at, that's easy because it's just single variable. Okay, but if you want to change the trajectory of it, or if you want to be able to do like a double jump, or where they're not sequential, but say like you jump up and then jump to the right.
Yeah.
So I mean that's doable too. But even then, you're never talking about math that's really more complicated than like exponential notation. So, which isn't hard.
Maybe, but I haven't done that since the year began with 1-9. So
right, yeah, but I mean, like everything's expressed. If you're using numbers that have more than 4 digits in them, they're expressed in scientific notation. I mean, I know that from like my stats programs do that. So you get used to it after a little while. That's what that little E3 means. It's like, all right, put 3 zeros behind it. Got it.
No, it's. Oh, so they don't do actual. It's not this times 10 to the.
No, it's a decimal E and then whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So always like that?
No, but if you see it in code, it's like that.
Okay. So I don't think I learned it that way.
Yeah, no. I was 10x times, whatever.
Whatever power it is to that, yeah.
Yeah, times a single, was it integer and 2 decimals to whatever power. So, yeah.
English, buddy, not
right.
Not
yeah, I got you, man. So.
I'm sorry, man. This is
I'm the history guys. I don't do neither.
Hey, dude, at least you dabble in this. At least you know this and use this in statistics, man. I don't. I mean, somebody posted this the other day where the joke was. I'm trying to remember because it was actually kind of funny. I was trying to remember the specific thing that they mentioned was I think it was like calculating the area of a cone, where the person was the joke was like can't find a job but I can calculate the area of a cone, and so I that got to me was all right, I get it, and my take on this here too was in the same token, I have not once been asked to prove that angle ABC is exactly 41 degrees like some kind of math lawyer.
No, never had to actually demonstrate that this is to that and that is not to this. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Never had to do that.
So I get it, and I can't. The problem here is within my example, I can actually see the purpose of this in terms of actual logical thinking, right? That's very useful, very purposeful in your education, but I've never been asked to do it in real life.
Mm-mm. Nor have I actually been able to apply it very often. I mean, so yeah, I've taken a couple programming classes in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And, same thing's true with like the statistics classes that I took. I like them because they're linear, and so the logic is laid out, dictated based upon results, and so it's easy because it's very linear thinking, which is something that I've always had kind of a knack for, but I never do it in my real life.
It's by request only. Yes.
Right? Yeah, I have to fire the machine up.
If you're asked to do this, the first question is going to be why?
Why? It's like, I don't wanna. Just get right to the conclusion, man.
Who needs me to do this?
Right. God, it's my day off.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, so you and I both know this in terms of like how curriculum is completely overstuffed, and you could never possibly get to what the entire state of Colorado requests.
Yeah. See, that's like, I've been seeing arguments lately for the destruction of the Department of Ed.
I think I'm on board with this.
I don't know how much I'm board with that because, like, that would. The reason being is the state would go bananas. So with their curriculum requirements at that point,
they already have.
Yeah, but I mean, at least the feds still make them teach math and English.
I agree, but
so I don't know, man. I'm on the fence about it. I mean, I don't know like what else the Department of Ed does. I know, like in my world, the post-secondary world, they do some stuff, but not a lot. I mean, most of what they do is like in terms of funding. So, and providing like the student loan guarantees and stuff like that.
Right.
Which fine, okay. So, the government needs to be your primary lender in education anyway. So, private. I grew up in the world of private lending.
Yes.
It was crooked as fuck. So,
most certainly is.
Yeah. So I get that, but like I don't really know, but I just because I imagine like certain states would just go bonkers with it, man, and I think ours might be one of them. I don't know.
Well, again, knowing what I know in terms of just the state curriculum that I had to deal with as is, I don't think there's any version of this where a federal entity could have actually stuffed more into it. This thing was jam-packed with some old bullshit that there was no possible way to get all of this in there.
No, they've done studies on that. Isn't it like you'd be in school till you're like 23? So if you actually covered all that.
You'd be in there until grade 22.
Okay, grade 22. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. It wasn't year. It was grade.
It was grade. And additional years to fill that curriculum. So how could they possibly overstuff it at this point?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Now, I could also see it as let's let's look at this from a Call of Duty standpoint, shall we? So if
The Big Ten system?
so, remember it used to be in ye olden days where it was pick of these things, right? 1, 2, 3 versus the pick 10 system. If they went and said, look, we know that we can't cover all these things, right? But we'd like choose from these things. We find all of these things to be equally valuable. To say these are the mandatories, these are the nice to haves.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that would have some value. I think that would be a that would also give a certain amount of classroom freedom where you are following the guidelines as they're asking, right?
Yeah.
There's no debate on this. You say, well, why are you teaching this? It's in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
So you have some room to justify your curriculum and say, hey, these are on the nice to haves. We got the.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, quite honestly, like, I have a completely different view of it now because I actually do have academic freedom.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really nice. So I would say, just do that.
Sure. You know what? That's cool. Many do not.
Oh, no, nobody does. So nobody does outside of college anymore, man. I mean, you probably find it like Catholic schools and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, but they have rules. They have.
They do have rules, but I'm not saying it's a school without rules. I'm saying it's
No.
a school without a prescribed curriculum. So, or more specifically, a prescribed instructional method. So,
I think that's it.
That's the problem.
I would imagine that they probably have a set, largely set curriculum, but you're right. The method is completely interpretive.
right. Yeah, because it's just mind blowing. And yeah, that means that you're gonna have to put up with some jackasses who are gonna, decorate the whole thing in flags, whatever. So
What flags?
whatever flags they choose, Jeff. Maybe Palestine flags.
Not my classroom.
Your classroom, I know.
I gotta tell you, even as a I don't know at what age. I guarantee you by like age 11, I would have gone to war for shit like that.
Oh yeah, at 11.
Yeah. That would have been 5th grade. Yeah. 5th, 6th
It would have
grade
taken
by
me
that
another
time.
couple
Yeah.
more years to actually give a shit.
I guarantee you, if I saw stuff like that, I would have fucking gone to war immediately.
I don't remember ever seeing any stuff like that.
No, because in our time, not to use like old man lingo here, your classroom was basically, you had the state flag, you had an American flag, the little one. They were both next to the clock over there in the corner.
I don't remember having too many state flags. Some
classrooms did.
Yeah.
That was by their own choice. And you'd have some kind of posters that were like the alphabet.
Fruit.
Yeah, the alphabet of education. A is for whatever. These are my ABCs. You'd have you get that, and you get that picture of Einstein sticking his tongue out, and that's your.
There's people in my office that have that.
Of course they do.
Still.
And that's fine. That's fine.
It's fine.
Because it's celebrating his genius, not the way that he treated his wife awfully. It's fine.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah,
It's
we
not-
know that now. Yeah.
Yes,
So-
yes. This is
They shall
gonna,
speak when spoken to.
this is going to come across as odd, Patrick, but there are former slaveholders that actually did good things as well. We're not celebrating
No.
their slaveholdership.
No.
We say, I wish you hadn't done that.
Right.
I wish you'd.
Yeah. That was bad.
I wish you'd just
Bad look, buddy.
had put out an ad in the Thrifty Nickel and said, like, I need someone to do this stuff and I'll pay you. And
My word.
but yeah, that's the thing. We're not celebrating, this the same thing that we've done here, where we have demonized every person that allied with the South and said, by merit of one decision that you made or one belief that you held, you are villainous, traitorous, garbage scum.
I don't think very many people believe that anymore. All their houses are burning down right now.
Well, this
TikTok's been having a field day with that one. So
I imagine, yes. And I guarantee you there are some fucking lunatics right now who are seeing this and celebrating the fall of Sodom and Gomorrah right now for what has become. But I don't think that's accurate. No, I think that there's a chance that some people may get ousted for this.
like who?
People in charge, either on a mayor or governor level.
What's he do up?
I don't know,
Yeah,
but there are a lot of people
I think he's got 2 years left. I think it would take longer than 2 years to get him. Maybe.
Well, there are people...
I don't know about the mayor. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about this mayor.
Yeah.
She's...
Well, the people that I know from LA area on the X, all right, they are not happy. So
No.
they're not happy. Yeah, I like Newsom's cooked. He's done. So I mean, dude, like you talk about stacking on terrible press conferences. I mean, it got to the point in time where it was almost cute that David Muir was trying to like tape his jacket shut. Because I mean, Gavin Newsom would show up on the news 10 minutes later and be like, "Oh my god."
What specifically happened? What did he do?
Huh?
What did he say? What happened on there with Muir? What was the
Oh, did you see the one where he clothespin the jacket shut behind him so he could actually accentuate his pectoral muscles?
You're shitting me.
No, and he turned
I
like
missed that
this,
one.
and you can see the clothespin sticking out.
Oh
It's
my
hilarious, dude. So it is just like the most awful thing. So but then like even if you didn't see that one, I saw that one almost right away when it happened, and then like half an hour later, Gavin Newsom comes out and basically has like an epically bad press conference. So, where that lady's like, "Hey, are you gonna do something?" He's like, "Oh, I'm trying to get a hold of the president." He's like, "But I don't have cell phone service." He's saying it right on live.
Is that the same one where he's saying, "I'm on the line with the president right now," and the person said, "Could you just put him on speaker?"
Just put him on speaker. Well, that one was late. That was a few minutes later.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was basically the same stream. So.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because there are all kinds of people around him at that point in time. Yeah, and then of course, I don't know about the mayor. She's probably cooked. So I don't know about the governor though, man. So I mean, it takes a lot. Like, and there's still like a giant city to the north that's going to try and defend him.
Oddly enough, yeah.
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 So I don't know, man. The mayor might be cooked though. Well, I guess we'll find out, man. So
I don't
it's
live
still
there.
going on, dude.
Yeah.
I thought for sure it'd be out by now, but nope.
Not even close.
Well, I mean, I guess they got one of them out. So
Yeah, but that's a small one.
oh, okay. So
Yeah, so there's 4.
there's 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the little ones are about 70%, and like the last I saw was like 95% contained.
Okay.
The ones that are big are
Not
like
contained.
10%
Yeah.
and like 25%. So I mean, there's a lot of work to do, and I guess the there have been huge debates. The biggest fuck ups on this that I think that are absolutely amazing. The things that I think that may come back to haunt them on this one. Number one is the people that are reporting. So the governor is saying like, no, we have water, and then there's so many reports of like, there's no water here.
There's no water in the fire hydrants.
Right.
Yeah.
He keeps saying that there is, but all the videos are firemen like sitting around a trickle saying there's no water here.
Yeah.
Right. The other component was, did you see that in terms of the?
Well,
No,
not
go
that,
ahead.
but I can there was a guy that kind of he did a pretty good thread on this, or a tweet thread, I guess, on this. He was explaining one of the problems, and this happens whenever this happened in the what was the other fire, the big one in California 2 years ago that wiped out that whole neighborhood, Paradise, something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, one of the big problems with like, and I had never thought about this, but it makes absolute perfect sense. When you evacuate an area very quickly,
Yeah.
people don't shut off their water. Okay. And so when it burns down your house, all your pipes rupture.
Okay.
I never thought about that. I was like, oh, actually, that makes sense. You know?
Did it really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, think about it. Your pipes are in the walls of your house.
Yeah.
If your house falls down, they're going to break.
Oh, okay.
And so if you don't shut off the water at the street level
yeah.
in order to actually, like, you know, just preserve it in the street, so it just leaks all over the place. So
That's a DWP problem, though.
I don't know, man. So, but still, at the same point in time, it also means that you're not going to have water in the fucking fire hydrants. So, you know, unless you have a redundant system, and there are some cities that have a redundant system where the fire water is not hooked up to the city water.
Right.
So yeah. So anyway, it was a neat thread where this guy was actually just laying truth bombs on people, saying, "Knock this off. Yes, of course you can use fucking seawater. It's wet." There's all kinds of things like
Were
that.
people saying that you can't?
Oh yeah, people were saying that. People were like, "Oh no, you can't do that. It'll ruin the vegetation." It's like, I'm sorry, like, it's, you know, I mean, trees don't grow on the coast, do they? You know?
Well, I mean, I can tell you something else that'll ruin vegetation.
Fire.
Extreme heat, yes.
Very quickly,
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, he was doing a good job, but he just brought that up, and I had never heard that, so public service announcement, turn off your water.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Okay,
anyway.
so I'll take that under consideration. I mean, it's nothing has ever gotten this far. I know that it sort of got kind of close to my mom's house back in the day, with the Hayman fire, I think that was called.
The Hayman fire?
Yeah.
That was up in Divide. That one? That was huge fire.
That was a huge one, but there was one that was getting kind of close over to that end. But
They had that big Black Forest fire a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've burned down 2 of our 3 wooded neighborhoods in the last 10 years. The Broadmoor's next. It's going to happen.
So yeah,
it's going to happen.
They are pointing to a number of things that seem like follies, and the one that I think the big one is the one that Newsom and Elizabeth Warren and all the other guys were basically directing people to give their money through Act Blue.
Really? I didn't see that.
Correct. So
nah, that's dirty. So
the way that this works is they say donate here, right? And so what Act Blue will do is they'll take 3.9% out of that, then donate it to wherever. And so this is where Community Notes has been blowing these people up.
Oh, I believe that in a heartbeat.
Actually, to give directly to these causes, do this, because what they're doing is funneling money through.
Dude, just give it to the Red Cross, for crying out loud. Come on, man.
Oh, no, you can give it directly to it. Here's the thing. All they'd have to do is list those specific groups, because those are the groups they're saying that they're going to.
Oh.
But they're saying give it through Act Blue.
So they can skim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which seems illegal.
I guess, man. I doubt that it is, but, you know, I mean, unless they're trying to hide that fact, but it doesn't sound like they're trying to do that.
Well, it doesn't say that, like, right on the front, but this is the if there's any illegality to it or anything like that, I guarantee you that'll come out in the wash. But to me, that sounds like fundraiser fraud.
It might be, yeah.
But yeah, that's particularly greasy. It
is kind of greasy.
Shitty.
Elizabeth Warren just did not turn out to be the person who I thought she was going to be. So, you know.
No, she turned out to be a little person.
Yeah. And I mean, that's too bad, man, because I mean, like, some of her early stuff was actually really good. It was really well thought out, you know. So, you know, and then it's just like, I don't know, man. You know, like she's in what, Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you talk about a safe Democrat seat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, your brain goes a little melty. So I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: is she had a decision to make at one point, and there's a pathway that you have to decide upon where you have to say, especially when you've been tenured for such a long period of time. You have to make the decision and say, am I going to go further this way, or am I going to be the basically like the mature mom in charge who says
She decided not to do that.
she absolutely did
Yeah,
not.
you're
She
right.
decided to triple down and say, like, no, actually, I may be 50, but I'm gonna get an ankle tattoo. You know, she basically don't.
You say that with such derision.
I absolutely
You mean
the
it,
thing
yeah.
where it's like you have to dress your age, ma'am. Don't dive in with the kids. Don't do this because there's nothing more pathetic than seeing
A try hard. Yeah.
you're in the wrong generation. You don't get to do this.
Don't get to
You
do
have
that.
to. Well, either that or you have to. The thing is, if you go that route, you have to own the lunatic part of it. You have to
Oh,
say
yeah.
that
Yeah.
no. I am committed to being a crazy leftist.
Right.
Right. And so you can't be apologetic about it. You can't walk things back. You can't be. You can't try to be like an elder statesman figure if you're gonna be crazy about things, right?
Yeah.
She couldn't decide which way to go, so she decided to again like get a little ankle tattoo and
Oh, she actually did that?
no, this is
Oh,
this
okay, I
is-
got
this
you,
is-
I got
no,
you.
this is
All right.
this is it's just just not. It's like why doesn't she dress her age? Why doesn't she this is. Why are you still putting pink streaks in your hair? You're fucking 50. This is the kind of thing where it's like, all right, either do that or get out or relax it and say,
Right, yeah.
I gotta corral the retards now. That's my job because people respect me, right? There's a point in life where you as a person in this cause, you have to see young people like getting into fights, and you have to be the one that actually puts out your arm and says like, nah, man,
Not indoors. Take it outside. Yeah, exactly.
Let's
yeah.
go. Let's go.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Let's go talk about this, right? And she could not do that.
Well, no, and then I mean, like her 2 runs for president, she basically kamikazed off a whole bunch of Bernie guys
Yes,
in both of
correct.
them. Yeah. So I don't think she did that disingenuously. I think she did it, because she legit wanted the job.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that she saw her Massachusetts invincibility as
you can plot on her.
national invincibility. It's like everybody believes it. Look, the
Boston's a different place, dude. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is a different place than the rest of the country. So
yeah, it is.
it's different.
If you look at it, it's bizarre.
It is. It's very different.
It makes no sense.
So, yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, so I mean, like, so in some of the pundit circles, we're already starting to talk about 2028, which is fucking hilarious, but predictable. So,
Well, it's like 9 days until the next guy isn't.
the next guy,
even sworn
he's
in
not
yet.
even sworn in yet, yeah. So,
There's
and
still
he's been kind of missing, man. So, he's been quiet. So,
well,
he did have that big press conference last week. So, but I mean, that's going to be so common, people aren't going to pay attention to him. So, we're starting to figure that out right off the bat.
no, absolutely true.
Yeah.
But listen, as far as I have a theory on this about why he's lying low.
Why? I mean, yeah, even after the sentencing, he was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
He goes back and plays golf. So,
Because I think from his perspective, I think for him, he's probably thinking that if any other lunatic with a hand grenade is going to try something, it's going to be
oh yeah, between now and
me personally. I would not.
or at the inauguration itself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I saw like, oh, actually, I didn't follow up on this, but there were a bunch of like world leaders that were invited that turned down the invitation, and that's the reason why.
I don't blame them one bit,
No.
man. I mean, I'm telling you, like, if you go to certain corners of again, this is where Blue Sky and Reddit are just havens of fucking lunatics that again, say what you're gonna say. All right, I get it. I'd rather see your unfiltered thoughts than watch a bunch of you speaking in code words about how you want someone dead, right? Because here's the thing. I know the tricks on this. You and I have seen censor bypassing for years. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it depends on what you're trying to get past. But just saying, I want to kill this guy, ... in Minecraft does not
It does not let
it
you
does not excuse you, right? And that's the thing there is with places like Blue Sky, those filters are off.
I'm not on
People
Blue Sky.
are just
I don't know anything about it.
people are openly calling for violence
That's
against.
not the Facebook one, is it?
No, that is the.
Oh, that's Threads. My bad.
Yeah. The Blue Sky is Dorsey's second abandoned.
He's not in charge
Twitter.
of it anymore?
No, he noped out of it. He basically
He noped out of Blue Sky.
he created it after Musk bought Twitter, and then he noped out of it when he said this is just going to be the same thing over again.
He's not wrong.
He's absolutely
he's
not
not
wrong. And this became a place that's the that is the leftist hug box that pussies like
Box. I like that.
that pussies like Mark Hamill disappeared to, and now Keith Olbermann didn't fully disappear to it because he likes
to fight.
he likes starting fights. He doesn't read his own comments because he gets fucking roasted every day. But
I'm going to be blunt with you. Most big time content creators, especially those in the hate factory,
yeah,
they don't read your shit.
no, of course not.
No.
Yeah, and so I understand that, but for the people that just and there's a civil war going on right now with like the Facebook shit where
that is interesting. He did a 180. So, well, I don't know if it was a 180, but he just
145.
maybe or either that or he just came into the light. I don't know. So
I do like the fact that he came clean and said, like, look, here are the people that were telling me to do this stuff.
Yeah, he did name names, which was nice.
From the presidential, the Biden thing, and he's, this is what they said to censor. This is what they said. This is the meme they told us to take down, and we said no. But the fact that your president was asking you to do this is absurd.
Was it Biden himself?
It was his staff.
It was his staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were furious about shit.
We gotta wait for that book, man. We just kind of curious, like how much he was actually plugged in. So I'm sure he was plugged in on a couple things, but I don't think he could get two fucks about Facebook.
I'm telling you, given the fact that he was on vacation for 40% of the time. So take that, scratch 40% of this, because I guarantee you he was not like fielding calls like fucking crazy on vacation.
No, we know that.
Yeah,
we know that.
So scratch those many days off of off the top.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm sure he's still got a daily briefing or something. So he seems like the kind of guy who would want that. So
I agree, but that being said, when it comes down to it, like he was. I do not think that the majority of those decisions that came out of that place were his. I think it was. Fucking lunatics that he surrounded himself.
I don't know exactly what decisions that would actually encompass. So like the censorship stuff. Yeah, sure, okay, got it.
That's not something that from him. I don't think that he would have.
I don't think he would have cared.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he doesn't use this shit.
No. I don't think he would have cared. So it's curious to who's the person who actually cared. I don't know, because you're only talking about a half dozen people, so you're going to be able to figure it out. So
I agree. And I mean, when it comes to the actual picks for people in his cabinet, I guarantee you he did not pick half of those fucking mutants that he put in there. Man.
No, he didn't. And actually, he's got an interesting statistic.
Do tell.
He's the only president who has never fired somebody from his cabinet.
Oh, that's absurd.
It's true, though. He's the only one ever. Donald Trump fired almost all of them.
You know what?
So did George W. Bush.
I'll tell you this. Well, at least Trump explained why.
Well, sometimes.
Well, no.
Trump would give him an opportunity to quit.
When he was on Rogan, he explained it.
Yeah, he did.
And he basically mea culpa'd this one. He said, Joe, I didn't know what I was doing. He's like, I picked a lot of people that I thought would be good for these positions. they were not good for these.
A lot of them weren't, yeah. So a lot of them were not.
And he even said it too. He said something like,
They got to be afraid of you a little
it's
bit.
not just be afraid of you, but also everybody should be expecting to get rid of people in there if they're not part of the program. It's utterly bizarre.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not the first president to figure that out. So, you know.
No,
We've had others in the past.
absolutely, but there are people that see the dismissal of somebody that they chose from this as a strike against themselves, or in the same like reverse, they also use it to avoid their own culpability. And I think it's a mixture somewhere between there, where you have to say it's one of two. You have to say both angles, where you say, well, this is a combination of two things. It was my judgment and this person's performance, right? So we decided to go a separate way. Do you have any additional questions?
Yeah. Well, and Trump, I mean, both Trump and Obama was good at this too, getting people to quit before he had to pull the trigger on them. So most people didn't get fired by Donald Trump. A couple of them did.
Yeah.
But most of them said, okay, you know, I've got a month
Right.
before you get in that phone call, you know, and handed a box. You know?
Do you need me to write you a letter recommendation?
Yeah, best of luck to you, buddy. If you need anything, let me know.
Listen, we'll keep our application on file for 90 days, and you know, if something different comes up.
He did pick some weird ones though in the beginning though too, man. So like his first Secretary of State, that Exxon guy, that was rando. So that was weird.
That had to just be a friend of his.
They didn't know each other. I've never seen a good explanation for why he picked him, and he's never offered one. So at least that I could find.
And nobody copped up and just said like, "Hey, I know a guy."
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen that anywhere. So, but
did he hit the slush pile and just like draw resumes?
It's possible. So, well, I mean, and the other thing about him is that, like, so Sean Spicer is like, he's a guy that I've been watching lately. He's pretty good, and he's kind of a Trump whisperer because he was there the first 2 years.
Oh yeah.
He was a press secretary. He got walked out. So, well, no, he was told that he was going to get walked out, and Trump was actually really gracious to him, and he said, "Can I have another month?" Trump was like, "Sure." So, you know, and then he got Scaramucci, who lasted 24 fucking hours. Do you remember that guy? Yeah.
What the hell happened with that?
I don't know, man, but he bought into the whole, you know, Cohen stuff, you know, and all that.
Was that it?
He completely flipped on Trump, and he was out there like trying to get a job on MSNBC as the next Rachel Maddow for a while. So he showed his colors real fast, but Sean's pretty good at this, and he's talking about like, you know, the thing that you got to understand about Donald Trump is that, you know, like he remembers everything, you know, he doesn't forget shit. So, but if you talk to him last on something and he has to make the decision now, he's usually going to go with what you said. So, yeah. So
you got me thinking, how would I do that?
I kind of do that.
I think I might.
I might do that.
The last idea is the best idea.
Correct.
Huh.
Yeah, I kind of do that too.
Well, I mean, that does play into primacy recency. It's either going to be the first one you heard or the last.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, it's so like he made some weird choices. I think he's going to get all his guys. I think the whole Hegseth thing has kind of died down. We're getting really close to the inauguration now, so I don't think anybody's going to give a fuck.
So much like everything that happened in 2024 and now is accelerating into 2025, the Hegseth thing seemed like a big deal 2 weeks ago, but then other shit happened. So everything sort of kind of washes.
It's kind of how that works, yeah.
Guys, it was the biggest deal last week. Nobody gives a fuck now.
Yeah.
Why? Because the entire Los Angeles area is
the Hollywood sign itself might
actually
turn down.
Like the tar is melting on the streets, guys. It's like bubbling. So that all went into the background.
Yeah.
And what will happen here is when that's out, within 6 weeks, something else will happen. Can I predict it? No.
I don't know, man. I think it's kind of like slowing down a little bit. It doesn't have the fervor that it did before November.
What, the fire?
No, not the fire. Just the oh my god, it's a big fucking deal. We got to argue about this now. It's not quite the same, man. So
That being said, it was an election, so
Exactly.
and this was presented in some ways as the election of our time, where people had to.
Everyone does that. It's every election. You know that.
This was the decision that people had to choose
Between democracy and failure.
Absolutely.
And the abyss. Yeah, I know.
You remember, this was the end of democracy as we know it.
Oh yeah, it dies in the darkness, and it was pretty fucking dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the only things that I'm seeing happen here is before the inauguration, a whole bunch of companies openly saying, like, so we're walking back all these DEI policies.
Tons of them. Almost all of them.
Lots of places.
Costco is a weird holdout, but it is based in Seattle, so I get it.
Costco be Costco, man. That's fine.
Yeah.
If they, here's the thing. I don't.
It's how that in urban areas they're going to rebuild some of their stores and put like multi-story apartment buildings on top of them.
Jesus Christ,
Dude, that's fucking brilliant.
That's.
You talk about like a company. I don't care about their DEI policies. That's fucking smart business. You put all your customers right over your store. Yeah.
I mean, that's to me that's New York on a different level where it's
Exactly.
Again, nowhere else. I mean, I get it. You live above a Sbarro, right? You gonna eat pizza more often? Probably. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. That's and to have basically your shopping center, your big ass shopping center, right beneath you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's genius.
Anyway, but yeah, most of the other companies I've seen, quite a few. Like, what was so Facebook? Zuckerberg announced that when he was on Rogan the other day, or maybe it was like the day after, or something like that.
Well, he did have
God, he's got the dumbest haircut, man.
He does, and I don't know why he decided that now's the time to start wearing his fucking Guido chain. Yeah, this
that too. And his $1 million watch. We talked about he's a watch guy, man.
But the chain there where you can see him just like. Yeah, that chain's real gold, so don't mess around with it.
Yeah, don't mess around. Bought it battery pocket.
Like, why do you look like that? Yeah,
I don't get it.
And he had that press conference where it's like, God, just like 4 feet off the camera side, it's like somebody's holding like a weapon to you because he didn't look comfortable talking.
He never does.
He never does. He always looks like he's speaking at gunpoint.
He's actually got the vest strapped onto him. Yeah. So you better say the right thing, motherfucker.
I mean, I didn't check. I didn't see if his eyes just like occasionally like darted right or left, just to see if everything was okay. But yeah, everything that he says, it just sounds like you say this if you want to see your kids alive again, right? And even when he was on Rogan, he's like relaxed at the mic. He still looks like.
It's on. I found it unwatchable, so I watched maybe like 15 minutes of it. I was like, I'm good.
I'll get the Cliff Notes.
I'll get the Cliff Notes.
It's fine. I can watch you in small doses. It's just you have a just an uneasiness about you that just
it's weird.
It's in the same way that you and I can't listen to fucking they're turning the frogs gay. Alex Jones.
Oh, Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he makes me like short of oxygen.
It's just.
Oh, Zempic Jones. Have you seen him lately?
Oh, is he losing weight?
Oh fuck yeah.
Is he losing a lot of weight?
He's starting to get a little flabby. So
he's got the
his boobs are going to He's gonna have to strap him down hard, man. Katy Perry's got nothing on him, man.
He looks like a man that eats 10 steaks.
He kind of 10 steaks. I don't know, man. I just saw a picture of him the other day. I was like, whoa, dude, you are not the same guy you were 6 months ago because you're getting pretty thick.
Well, there are some guys where they do lose the weight and they do so in like if you go back on some of the old stuff, you can see the guys who did it the old way.
Right.
So, as bizarre as skinny John Goodman looked,
He didn't look wrong.
no, he
Yeah.
just did not look the guy that I used to know.
He did not look happy.
He
So...
looked hungry.
He looked... Right.
He looked
looked hungry.
he looked like a guy who'd been living in a state of, so let me get this straight. 9 out of the 10 things I actually enjoy in life, I have to refrain from.
Forever.
And there are some dudes like who was it? What's Tony Soprano's actual name? Gandolfini?
James Gandolfini, yeah.
I believe his doctor told him these things, and he said, "Nah, I'm just gonna."
And then he died.
Yeah.
50.
He's like, I'm just gonna ride this one into the sunset, and he did quickly.
Very quickly.
Because my understanding is that the reports of his lifestyle were, wait, you had 9 beers with dinner,
Right.
and that's. I understand that everything was like he was like a joyful guy,
Yeah.
but it was headed for disaster, and it was gonna. But I don't believe he was into drugs.
I don't
was
recall hearing that. He's definitely an alcoholic. So
I seem to recall that he was just a big beer drinker.
he was a big eater too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So
Now he did still have the physique where it looked like he could chase down like a paperboy if he needed to.
if he needed to, in
Yeah.
a bathrobe,
Yeah. But not. You know that next size of big where it's like this person's
there were plenty of other
mobility is
guys on the show who were that big.
severely limited. Yes.
Yeah. So
So you would get your ass kicked.
yeah.
You would be winded with one
They
punch.
punch you in the heart and it explodes.
Yeah, so there are those guys that do that. But yeah, when you lose a whole bunch of weight at one time, I'll have to. I didn't know he was on the.
Yeah, someone pointed that out on the Twitter the other day.
Okay.
So, and I was looking at it, I was like, ooh, yeah. So
Well, either way, no matter how you slice it, if
Yeah.
he's taking better care of himself, that's I can absolutely.
oh yeah, well he probably had a doctor tell him the same thing, you know. So dude, that guy would just get sweaty. Like, I mean, like not even a minute into his show. So
Well, it's I imagine that his doctor came to him with choices. He said, "So, with you as a man at your size, if we're going to lower your blood pressure, right? You either have to lose a bunch of weight or you can't be stressed.
oh yeah,
And
oh
You're
yeah.
always stressed, Alex,
yeah.
because he's not a relaxed man."
Nothing about him is relaxed.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, no, that's crazy.
So I remember I went to Navigam Academy with a Canadian, and
What is this academy?
basically this is with Baker. This is
Oh.
the formal.
Learn how to drill.
You do the job for a while, and then they send you to academy to learn what you just did.
Oh, that's fine. The railroad's the same way.
I believe it was like scheduling, and I also think that there was maybe a piece of we want to weed out people that can't do it or something like that. I don't
Right.
know. We don't want to send them trained first, but so this Canadian guy, he was pretty cool in a lot of ways, right? So he knew about hockey, of course. So we talked about hockey. He knew, the Nordiques, everything like this. Very nice guy until, and that's the thing is until, when something would cross his path that would offend him. He went from 0 to 100 in no time flat.
I knew a Canadian like that. Yep.
And it's nice, boom.
Yeah. No, we had to run him out of the yacht club. So he was so bad.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, and I mean, for a while he was cool. We actually took him up to Breck a couple times.
Oh, okay.
So he was fine. And this was probably like 2017, 2018. There was just something that changed about him, man. And yeah, he'd get just offended about the stupidest little thing, and he'd go nuclear. So
You couldn't. That's the thing is you couldn't call it. It's like, oh man,
well, we had never seen that before, so we thought he was like, are you on cocaine? You know, or something. You know,
Yeah.
it was just weird. Yeah.
yeah, and that's it's sort of like take those things and have like 20 more of them, and that's just Alex Jones. Like that's his.
So it's like a continuous loop. So,
Yeah, because he goes to brief smells of being normal and then explodes.
right. Yeah.
And you can't tell what the things are that he's going to be exploding on, but it's going to be more of them.
Right. Every day is a new day for, outrage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. So yeah, that's interesting that you knew a Canadian like that too. He's the only guy that I've ever known that did that.
It was scary.
It just
It
yeah.
was fucking scary.
No, and I mean the first time he did it, actually I think the Water Wizard might have been there when that happened.
Oh,
We're
no
like,
shit.
Whoa, what the fuck? So yeah, because I think we were playing cornhole, and he went like nuclear on one of my other friends. So it was like it's a joke, dude. I mean, like, come on, well, I don't think it's very funny. Blah 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 blah. He's getting ready to swing on this guy. It's like
What the fuck was the infraction?
I don't even remember. So it was a joke. So of some kind. I can't even remember. But yeah, there were a couple people who were like, "Whoa, that's weird." And then he did it again, like maybe a couple months later in a different context. And we're like, "All right." So yeah, there was some. It might have been too much beer, or something. But nah, because we had seen him drunk before. He never did that.
That's
It was
fair,
just
yeah.
it was just weird, man. So and he was Canadian.
That I
I
mean,
mean, something in the water, man. I don't know.
or
Actually, I've known a guy from Canada who's like one of the coolest dudes I've ever known too. So he was from French Canada. So
oh,
yeah, he was very different. He liked to collect pens of all things. He had like fancy
sounds
pen-
about right.
Yeah, really fancy like $1,000 pens. Yeah. So he was an interesting cat. So
Look, I've known Canadians that live up to that stereotype and then some.
I have
Where
to.
yeah, just like you're talking about here. But I've also look, there are Canadian rednecks. There just are.
There are, yeah.
And the thing is, they're still rednecks. It's just different
It is a little different.
because the accent is weird. When you man, there's what it is. There's a certain amount of like when you see a dude with just you see a house and there's a car in the front yard. It's on cinder blocks, and there's like shit in the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy comes out and he's gonna say something nice, but you know his voice before you hear it.
Yeah.
You take that and then make that Canadian, and you're like, "What is this?
Yeah,
Where am I?"
Where am I? Yeah, it's like some undiscovered part of Louisiana. All of a sudden,
It's bizarre. Yeah, just total, utter, like, absolutely Canadian rednecks,
Yeah.
and it's all.
God, they
Yeah.
did torpedo the fuck out of their prime minister though.
He had it coming.
He did have it
He
coming.
had
Yeah,
it coming. But
yeah, he did have it coming, man. So that was so funny. That was right after he went down to see Donald Trump too and apologized to him.
Wait, was this?
Boy, I wish I hadn't done that. Eh? I didn't have to do that. No take backsies.
Why is this like Darth Vader apologizing? Where,
I guess, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just like he accepts your apology, but you're choking on the floor.
I don't think he cares. So to tell you the truth.
I think Trump was well aware somehow of. I don't think you're going to be the person making the decisions here.
He might very
shortly.
well have been. I mean, he does have the ability for perspective when he wants to. So,
This is
but yeah, that happened fast. So,
my understanding. This is the weird thing is. So all of the reports that I've been getting, this is so the post-mortem on the election, now that there's been some time on it and people have had some discussions, and this is one of the things that one of the problems that the Democrats had trouble with, and they're absolutely right, is they had no way to properly categorize this man.
Who? Donald Trump?
Yes.
Okay.
And they said we were in two camps simultaneously, and it was a big problem because we thought at the time that this person was simultaneously a totally ignorant idiot
I've heard this argument.
and a Wile E. Coyote super genius.
A Hitler-esque one. Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so when you're developing a strategy against a
Yeah.
person, right, how do you do this when you're saying that your opponent is a moron and a super genius at the same time?
Yeah, it doesn't work. And like, so I've heard this argument from a couple different people, like kind of on both sides. Like you have like your never Trump Republicans out there who are kind of like, actually, you know, he's not an idiot. And the more that we think that, the more we keep losing. So, you know, and I've seen a couple Democrats say that too now, some of the smarter ones. The best analysis that I've actually like heard is the Democrat Party so the far left will always sink a national candidate. So
Explain. What do you mean?
it's just they were talking about, like, this goes back all the way to, who was it, Wallace, who got his ass kicked by Nixon. So you know, because, and they were like, oh well, nobody's going to vote for Nixon again. He's greasy, slimy. You know, there's all this stuff going on in Vietnam, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to double down. So, like, if you look at the scoreboard, it looks like he's going to crush Nixon in some respects.
Yeah.
But he's just he's so far on the left that there is this point where you speak in an echo chamber, okay, because 90% of the country thinks you're full of shit. Okay, so they're not going to listen to you. All right, so the people who do listen to you are people who want you to be the president, and so, or in charge or elected or whatever. But it represents such a small minority. So, you know,
But they massage your balls so hard.
they massage your balls so
Yeah,
hard,
yeah.
and the only thing is like, yeah, like, so with, like, the Palestine thing was actually a big fucking deal. So, you know, it really was, because it split it fractured a lot of things.
Yeah.
It drove tons of people out of the Republican or out of the Democrat Party. The border is even, like, it is such a glaring blind spot now, because if you actually go into some of the post-election data, I mean, if you were a Democrat strategist who had, like, any hope for the future, you just realize that you fucked yourself for another generation with this entire Latino vote that is completely like, fuck that. It is a way more conservative than you think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And so, you know, but no, man, they're brown people. They're gonna be on our team. And so this is the far left.
Oh yeah, and tell them that
Seeing
they're
things.
traitors. Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, exactly.
that's gonna work.
That's gonna work
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Oh, and you know what? They really like trans issues. They love those.
Love
things.
them, yeah.
Love them. Yeah, exactly. So, and meanwhile, they're like, actually, we can vote for ourselves. So we're going to vote for that guy. What, Hitler? Yeah. If that's what you want to call him, sure. But sure, yeah, I'm going to vote for him. I mean, the swing difference is humongous. So, like, but the funny thing is, you can kind of see it coming a little bit. So they didn't really stand for Joe Biden in 2020. So they didn't really stand. They stand a little bit for Hillary Clinton in 2016. So, but you can see that trend line.
You can see it moving.
You can see
There's
it
a big
moving.
jump.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's a big
Oh
jump.
no, like everybody, all of them, they all love Obama. So got it. Okay. So, you know, and I'm so neutral on Obama. Okay. Yeah. Fine. All right. So sure. I mean, he had a lot of good qualities, and he did some good things as president. Whatever.
Well, I think that's a fair assessment. Is when all comes down. It's. I think that people's opinion on Obama is going to be a question of expectations versus reality, right? What did you expect from the man, and what did you get? If you went into it with a
Oh, we're gonna get universal health care. Yeah, you don't like him.
well, or if you like me, if you saw the guy that seemed to have the energy to basically give Washington the enema that it had coming,
Yeah.
and you
I can
didn't
see why
get
you-
that,
yeah, you
right?
didn't.
I understand that because every
He became the monster at the center of the swamp. You know, he was like, "No, this is my spot. I want it fair and square." You know?
you're right. So you're talking about a man that gazed into the abyss on day one
he wore it like a cloak, man. You know? It's like, yeah, I got my hands on this now.
Yeah.
Look, man, I don't have a problem with that because I actually kind of like the guy, and I mean, it was one of those things where I didn't really see the government as. I saw George W. Bush as needing emina, not necessarily the government. So. George
it's just like the attitudes that came along with
there
it.
was a lot of that,
Yeah,
the Cheney-esque kind of stuff, and like, I mean, I hold him blameless for some things, but I mean, objectively, now that Carter's dead,
yeah.
okay, and I was not alive very long while he was president, but he does technically count
Right.
in my presidential repertoire. Okay, I mean, of the living ones, George W. Bush is clearly the worst one. I mean, he really is. Well, no, I would say like he's pretty tied with Joe Biden now, but jury's out on that one for a little bit. All right, but just in terms of like, I like the guy personally, but I think he had some good, but what did he didn't do anything.
Which George Bush?
George W. Bush. He didn't. I mean, he did the Obama thing, but Obama actually ended one of those wars.
Right.
So so. And the other thing is like, okay, so we did get Obamacare. It's not perfect, all right? So it's better than what we had before, though. I know a lot of people bitch about it and things like that, and I get it. It needs some fixes. But
it's actually raising the cost of rates.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to have to, in some respects. Because, I mean, healthcare at the level that everybody expects it is a scarce resource. So we have to have some way to, distribute that. And normally we do that by, like, charging you more for it. Anyway, but like George W. Bush, as much as I look fondly back at him now, so and remember like, okay, he did make me feel better after 9/11 and stuff like that. I was with him with the Iraq thing. I totally get it, but he knew a lot more about that than I did, and he still made those decisions. So,
all right,
and there's just and the only other thing that he did was NCLB, and he did that before 9/11.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, and he did like Medicare Part B. All right. So he got prescription drugs for my mom. Cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's very expensive. But it's cool.
I agree. No, that's, I totally understand. All right. The thing that you're absolutely right. So here's the conundrum with George W. Bush, right? Is I think you and I to a lot of points, when it comes down to George W. Bush's position, we look at the decisions that were available and say, you know what, I might have done the same thing.
I probably would have.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's the problem: is I'm just a guy.
Right.
There's a certain. This is right, because I mean it's in the same way that like when you're a child, right? And you say like, well, I would have done that if that person took candy from me. I would have whooped his ass.
I can honestly say that I would not have tortured people. So. That's a line that's just too
buddy. Here's the thing: is Monday through Wednesday, I would have agreed with you. Thursday through Saturday, I would have disagreed with you. And on Sunday, it's a coin flip. And I mean, the thing is because there's half the thing that says like it's Kiefer Sutherland 24 fucking battery clamps on his nipples, get the answers because otherwise something's gonna blow up, right?
Yeah.
But then there's a part of me that says, but this is America.
See, and that's the thing is. Out of all the presidents that we've had and that I've watched over the years, that was the one time where I really felt shame. I was like, God damn it, we don't do that. Once you found out about that, I was like, really? So it was like, that's for fucking Hollywood. You guys are professionals. Don't do that. Kind of thing. So that was the really one point, man. That was the one point.
It's really tough because, even to this day, I still kind of go back and forward with it. I mean, the gut feeling within me is it's that same thing where I say, all right, once you cross that line, what are you willing to do? Right? What are you willing, like, because after you've crossed that line, what is it that stops you from going any further? Well, how do you make that distinction? And again, that's the problem is
well, I think he probably felt the same way about it. He doesn't talk about it. So you can't find
an easy decision, but
you can't find like any kind of like, oh yeah, that was a bad decision. I would have done it this way this time. No, it's like, okay, we don't talk about it.
Yeah,
and it's like that means that you feel shame about that too.
Well, yeah, because otherwise, do it again.
Do it again, or I feel real bad about that.
But there is,
So, but
again,
yeah, I mean, but yeah, he's definitely there. I was trying to, like, someone asked this the other day. It was like Rancor, and as much as I hate the man personally, Bill Clinton is probably the most effective president I've ever seen.
effective.
That dude balanced the fucking budget.
Come on, man.
He totally did.
He had the distinct benefit of the economy
That's part of it, but he also,
doubling in size at the time.
but he was also the guy who cut the military by 50%.
That is correct.
Yeah, so he actually had the balls to do that. He
Yes.
was the one who actually turned around and said, "Oh, this program where we send you checks every single month if you don't have a job, it ends." He ended welfare. He actually got a crime bill that did the 3 strikes and you're out thing. I mean, come on, man.
He did.
I mean, it's just like personal piece of shit besides.
Well,
Just putting points on the board, man. I get it, man.
Look, you're
just
absolutely
trying to be
right.
objective about
this.
this.
Is, you know, and here's the thing: is I don't hold him as a bad president. I never
No.
have.
Yeah.
Right. It's just that yes, I hold him as a bad person, and you know what? And that is the problem. Is that can be something that impacts your presidency.
Can be.
That is because remember, part of look, man, you and I are old enough to remember when big offices fucking like if I were to go out there right now, right? This is one of the funny things if you come into this. If I were to go into 1984 or something, I'd say like, all right, these are a list of things that would sink a candidate immediately.
Bill Clinton would check all those boxes.
This is what I'm talking
Every last one of them.
right?
Yeah.
It'd say, okay, we had a certain amount of decorum that we still adhered to and expectation. And those things have been eroding to the point where we're on our second Trump presidency.
I actually think he's going to bring some of that back.
I do too now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can tell you that having certain of those things in your past would have disqualified you from
Oh, he'd be
service,
fucked.
right?
Yeah, completely. People laugh him out of the primary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And these are the things that these doors were opened
Yeah.
by Bill Clinton, right?
Yeah. Oh, well,
No,
I mean,
they were.
there were a couple of. I mean, Ronald Reagan was the first president who was ever divorced. So
Exactly.
you know, there
And
you
that
go.
was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
But at the same
But he was
time,
Ronald Reagan.
he was Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
and
everybody
that dude,
remembers him. So
he was gangster enough to hear a fucking balloon pop and say "missed me." It's
he
funny.
did. It's really funny. Yeah. Right after he had gotten shot.
That's
too.
correct. Right. That's the very definition of your charisma will let you get away with anything.
Anything. Yeah.
But you know, that being said, there's a certain amount of like again, Kamala Harris would never have been never.
She didn't have a prayer, dude. So,
No.
And I mean, watching her at Carter's funeral last week was just
That clip of her seeing him and
Obama yucking
like,
it up.
laughing his shit, and she's like,
Like he told him a black guy joke, man.
I know, it's just like he probably used like he didn't even use like the race as the joke.
No.
He's just like, yeah, hey, Obama. It's like, how do I stop 5 of you guys from raping a white woman? You throw him a basketball, and and the look of utter disgust on her face.
It was pretty bad.
It was just a delightful.
Yeah. She, I don't know, man. I mean, like we'll see. She might surface again, like back in California. I mean, you know,
Well,
like,
there's going to be a leadership hole, I think.
there might be. You know, I don't know if she's the right person to actually fill that, depending on which one it is. So, I think Gavin Newsom, he's not going to go anywhere unless they oust him or he times out, because his performance the last couple of weeks has been so bad. He's going to need that time to recover from it.
Yeah.
If he has any hope for the future. Adam Schiff snaked out that fucking Senate seat, so he'll have that until he dies.
That's true.
So yeah, you know, and then so like I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm curious to see what Donald Trump does in his second term. I'm not convinced that he's going to be terribly productive. So I think he's going to focus on 2 or 3 big things He doesn't have the energy that he did 4 years ago, man. I mean, you can tell. You can
No,
tell.
but what I can say is there are certain people in place that, all right, I think if anybody is going to kick ass and take names, it's going to be Tom Homan. And he is...
On the border?
Yeah. That dude, for every bit of energy that Trump does not have, he has it in spades.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the veto pen. Trump does.
Totally understand. But that being said, he is a dude that the base is rallying around. Right?
I get that.
They like that guy, right? So there are people where I think he's going to let those personalities kind of push things a little bit. And that's fine. That's fine. You're right. I think... So there's been way too much... I can't say it's the worst that I've seen in my life, but in terms of over-promising and under-delivering, you have a big chance of like you said, maybe getting 2 or 3 things that you really want.
Yeah, he's got... Well, with the exception of like foreign policy, because he can do that basically with the stroke of a pen. Okay, he'll probably do something. He'll probably focus on that. If you look traditionally at presidents, they do a lot more foreign policy shit in the second term than they do in their first.
I suppose that makes sense.
Well, they all do. I mean, those who make it that far.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's Nixon opened China. That's when, like the Berlin Wall stuff, all that, they're like a lot of it. So, Bill Clinton in Yugoslavia. So, Barack Obama, that's when ISIS happened in Syria and all that shit. So, that's when Benghazi happened. So,
that's true.
You got a lot of stuff going on. So, but anyway, so like that. But I mean, like domestically, he's got like 2 shots at something with Congress. So you don't fix the border unless you get Congress to fix immigration. It's that simple. Okay, you can build a wall, the next administration tear it down. So, or if there's no money out there to actually like maintain it or staff it, then I mean, there's guys out there, you have to go get the money from them. So you can't just do that with with accounting tricks. So and not get it tied up completely in courts for a decade, and then we're right back where we are. So if he's actually going to do something about the border, and if what's his name, Tom what?
Holman.
Holman,
yeah, Homan.
Homan. Holman. If he turns out to be really effective, they got to find ways to fucking put that shit in ink. So
that's true, yeah.
And the same thing's true. Like, so if he's really serious about some other things, like crime prevention. And so I think, you like subways, man. I mean, I know, man, it's just awful. Yeah. So, and you got a lot of cities out there that, I mean, it's just like cops have had a bad rap for over 15 years now, man.
We were there.
We were there
when it was so safe.
Oh, in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're safe enough where we can wander around drunkenly at 2 o'clock in the morning and only get accosted by cops. Many of them. At different times and locations. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah, so, but that like, I don't know if that's going to be a big thing that he does. I don't know. And like this, like, I mean, I'm really, really, really pessimistic on Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk with Doge. Musk doesn't even give a fuck about it. You see all the shit that he's been carpet bombing Europe lately.
Brother, okay, Europe deserves to be.
Maybe they do, but I mean, that guy's got a job here. I mean, like,
well, he's got like 8 jobs here.
Exactly. So and so if you want to see $2 trillion cut out of the federal budget, you don't do that without Congress. You can't do that without Congress.
Right.
So I mean, you can squeeze the DoD down to nothing, and you don't even be close to that. So come on, man.
I know, and so. Would I really like to see that happen? Yes.
Everybody would.
Is that going to be a problem? Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. When you're... They said you have 8 jobs here plus Diablo 4. I mean, this is like...
I bet you hate bots.
They said he bought an account on Path of Exile, so...
Right, there you go. Yeah.
But, if you have the money,
It's just spend it.
it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of wacky. So yeah, that. So obviously, my hopes are yes, border. Yeah, that's something that you have to fix.
I don't think he's going to let that one go.
I think he's going to harp on that
Yeah.
from beginning to end. I don't think, Patrick, I don't think that we are going to move to a system where income tax is abolished and it's all done via tariffs. I don't think that promise is going to come through. It seems unlikely.
I don't think there's actually that much money that he could raise from that. I don't know. So
I just don't think that we will see income tax abolished in the next 4 years, Patrick. I just don't.
I don't think we would ever see it abolished. So, because think about it, income tax is 3 different things, man. There's income and payroll taxes on top of it as well. I mean, if you murder off your payroll taxes, there goes Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah,
Everybody's going to vote against that. So come on, man.
I know.
Yeah.
He said it though.
I know
I'm going through the list of things that he said and saying the things that maybe have a chance, have no chance, could have a chance.
Tariffs are interesting, man. I mean, I don't know how they're going to work. So I've seen very smart people call it both ways. And so
That's exactly, and they make good arguments both ways.
great arguments. So I'm like, all right, I'm out. You know?
Well, the only thing I can do from that is going to say is, well, like most things, it will probably split the difference.
Maybe. So,
But it could also be, because that just generally that's how it tends to work out, is if you have a lot of people saying this is going to work great.
Yeah.
What I can say is the threat of them has been getting some of his cooperation in line.
oh yeah, I mean that's how he got Trudeau to fly down to Mar-a-Lago. You know, I mean the Chinese are already like, okay, well we're going to dump all these cars on Europe. And Europe's like, hey, whoa. You know?
Did you ask us?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, so there's, yeah, like the China thing is going to be interesting.
That's always going to be a big question.
It is going to be a big question, you know, like, and same thing with Ukraine, man. I mean, that thing's like, we're going to see how that pans out in the next Trump presidency. So, you know,
I'll be honest, I expect things to change within about 2 weeks.
I don't think that they're going to get Putin to the table. So
He says he's willing to talk.
okay, maybe.
I don't know why he'd talk now just because there's a different president.
I don't think he has any reason to actually go to the table. So he doesn't want the war to end. He doesn't want it to end, man.
There's like, I don't know how you negotiate that one in any good conscience.
I think it's too far gone, man. They just gotta fight it out. So, you know, and at this rate, it'll take Putin another 10 fucking years to get even close to Kiev again. So, yeah.
Right.
So, okay. Is it going to be Vietnam version 2? It's already been going on for 11 years. So, I mean, if you actually count like the original time, where they sent the little green men in to, you know, the Donbass, even though they weren't Russians, they just took the fucking patches off. Come on, man. Oh, you fooled us, guys. You got us. So, but I watched Lex Friedman's interview with Zelensky last week.
Oh, yeah?
It's great, but he's not gonna. He's like, yeah, okay, take the weapons away. We'll fight them with sticks. You don't understand the damage they've done to our country. You know, he's like, there are tens of thousands of people in the dirt because of this man.
Yeah.
He's like, even if I'm not president, we still fight. You know, and it's like, okay. Yeah. So.
This is, bro. This is another one of those. This is another one of those, you know, Palestine-Israel things where we see things in a current climate of what is your major grievance? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So if your problem is this,
right,
then why don't we agree to, you know, end this? And they say, you don't understand. This argument stems from something that somebody said or did 2,000 years ago. It's like, yeah, but that was then. It's like, you think you can just wipe that off?
Yeah, exactly.
And my understanding is those guys in that area have been fucking clapping at each other since there's been a Rus. I mean, it's a very long time that those regions have had issues with each other. I mean, I mean, even in the Soviet Union, they didn't like one another. That's why it's called the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because it's a derogatory term.
Right. Yep. So, yeah. Well, and I mean, it was basically stitched together by the Mongols, so which eventually became the Russian Empire. So there you go. I mean, but see, that's the thing, and like Zelensky was trying to explain this to Friedman. He's like, you're going to sit down at the table with Putin, and he's going to spend 4 hours lecturing you on history that doesn't matter.
Right.
When he's dropping bombs on my city. He actually had a really good answer for one thing too that kind of surprised me.
What's that?
So the whole elections thing. So he's like, you know why we're not holding elections? He's like, I'm not going to tell him where my polling places are. What do you think he's going to do?
Oh.
Yeah. And he's like, as soon as we have peace, the day after we have peace, we have elections. So I was like, actually, yeah, that makes sense.
So Patrick, again, this is the same. Here's the problem: is the exact same argument for torture. I mean, that's the problem. It
kind of is.
It's because there's a piece that says, "Yep, you're absolutely right." In practicality, that makes sense. However, that's not how we do things.
To be fair, and they do things very, very different than we do. So
that's correct.
Yeah.
And you're in some ways you're only as good as your neighbor, right? You can only.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is you can believe in truth and justice and honor, but if your neighbor will rob you blind,
right, you better start believing in Amendment 2, David.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like you can believe in negotiation all you want, but if your neighbor doesn't, you got to put holes in them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, especially if he's coming through your front door.
So
you're not allowed to set up punji traps for him or something, But if he comes in, you're good.
Therein, that's where my problem is. Of like, all right, shit, 3, maybe 4 days out of the week, I'm like, this is barbaric. The other 3, 4 out of the days, I'm like, but you got to get that information because that's how they play. I'm like, I don't. I'm just glad I'm not in charge. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision.
I don't want to make that decision either.
Because either answer, you're going to catch so much flack on.
You're going to catch a lot of shit. So, I don't know, man. I mean, like that's just it's still the one point in time in my life that I recall being like embarrassed of my country.
I can again, not gonna disagree.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna disagree with you in any term, and I can also see people flipping around and say like that's a point of pride where they're like, we got answers.
Did we? We didn't. They
sure
waterboarded one guy until he went he went insane, and he never got a lick of information out of him. So,
and there were people that did talk. I mean, this is the thing: is that's all right. Let me put it to you, okay? I'm just going to speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I were in any kind of detention or whatever, let's say I actually did something,
okay.
And the minute that they actually just like put my thumb in a clamp and said like, well, here's what's going to happen. Okay. You're going to talk or I'm going to tighten this. Right. I'd spill my guts.
I wouldn't even let it get to that point.
Also true. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, if I were playing stuff, if I were saying like, hey, I know my rights.
No. I'm an American. You can't do this to me. Yeah, no, I get it. Man.
Right. I would be spilling my guts. Now, on the same token, I'm not an Islamic fundamentalist. So you have a completely different perspective of, well, their God will punish them.
Yeah, exactly. But see, the thing is that like the whole thing suffered from mission creep. Okay.
Yeah,
and that whole there's no way 22 fuckwits came up with this plan.
Right.
Blah, blah, that's actually what happened. And so there wasn't like this giant international multi-headed Cobra Commander organization that was just wringing its hands waiting to get the second blow in. No, it was 22 fucking chuckle fucks who got lucky. So, and actually found what was a well-known by anybody who was a sky cap or worked anywhere near an airport, well-known security.
Yeah.
So, but whatever. And now, then to wrap up with, all right, so maybe Donald Trump will actually Well, he won't with Christy Gnome in there now, but I mean, I really would like to see the Department of Fatherland Security melted down for parts.
I think
I would kill that one off before I killed off the Department of Education, actually. So it is immensely more expensive too than the Department of Education. So fucking yes, let's melt that one down for parts. So,
I think. Oh well, I think you and I are in agreement on certain a couple of things here. So yeah, go ahead and melt that one for parts. I'm okay if you're just kind of like, whoops, the Department of Ed's on fire. Let's not put it out.
yeah, we're busy.
I would now with the Department of Fatherland Security. Are you also talking about the TSA?
I do not like the TSA, man. So
are you okay with that being melted too?
I am okay with that being melted down for parts.
Okay.
So and you can just go back to like individual airports are responsible for their own security, or it's just flyer beware. Okay, I mean, come on, man. So. Like you don't have to worry about well, I guess the history doesn't bear me out on this, but like terrorism in airports is so exceptionally rare. You need to be more afraid of your fellow passengers, man. So but still at the same point in time, I mean, it's just like one of those things. It's like, okay, if we can secure concerts across the and graduation ceremonies and all kinds of different shit, we can definitely secure trains. We can definitely secure airports without, having this enormous, bloated, fucking immensely expensive and redundant system. So that's just there to make people feel better. So it's like, well, okay, I mean, have the metal detector at the fucking gate. I don't know, let you guys figure that out.
Right.
So, but.
Patrick, I still don't know. Have they changed something whereupon checked luggage is...
It's all X-rayed.
I mean...
That was a huge one. It's like, I can just check a bomb,
Yeah, I feel like there's still... If you really wanted to get something through, I think you would still do it there.
If you want to get a plane, you're going to get a plane. So, I mean, and it's just like, it's not this like unique novel thing. I mean, that's why we haven't seen too many. First of all, they're a little bit hardened targets, but so are a lot of schools, and people still hit schools. Same thing with concerts, and stuff like that, and you still see things like that happening, but I mean, it's one of the most ridiculous things. It's the only government agency that I've seen over the course of my life that just got stupidly big, stupidly fast. So,
with no consideration for checks or
no
walking. Like again, this was the component of the Obama administration that I had a problem with. Was he did say that the Patriot Act was going to come to a close,
and he didn't do it.
No,
nope,
and nobody has.
No, because he found it way too fucking useful. So,
and this is my problem: is we didn't have it set up as an expiration date. We didn't have a set date. This was an end. This is one of the classic examples of once you strip away power, you never get it back.
You never get it back,
right? Yeah. So this is the kind of thing that sort of makes me sick. But yeah, you're right. This is bloated. This is it's ineffective. And you know what? I'll bet you on the local level, if you left the people to actually figure out, it's like, okay, so we're required to. This is what we have to do.
Yeah.
We have to figure out what it is and what it's going to cost to do it. And we'll charge that to the airlines in the place here.
Yes.
It'll be, less pricey.
Yeah.
We're going to do it via... And even if they say, like, hey, based on what we have, this is the small airport we have, we pat everyone down. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Deal with it.
Yeah. I know.
So, yeah. Or we want you. Whatever. So,
Get one.
Yeah. If you can't tell me that you can't protect every single fucking NFL game out there, and yet you can't do it in an airport where people are all like walking through very narrow corridors. Come on, man.
Well, Pat, and you and I both know that there are certain things that if they wanted to do them, there's still ways to make, like, you can still, if you had like a fertilizer bomb full of shit, you can still drive up to the drop-off point, right? Say your prayers goodbye and blow away the whole front of the fucking structure.
Yeah, you totally could.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, but I mean,
what are you doing this weekend, Jeff?
But, I mean, on top of that, like, go to New Orleans and say, like, okay, so what have we been? It's like, will that ever stop people from driving through a crowded area if they're like, no, man, there's. You guys had gates to protect us, and they weren't even up.
No, they were being maintained, and it's kind of like one of those things where it's just like that. So like the whole New Orleans thing, I mean, it's already out of the news because it's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, he was using, a Google Glass or Facebook, whatever it is,
Right.
to scope it out beforehand. Ooh, and it's like, what else is in the story? Nothing. And it's like, yeah, okay.
Look,
Got
the only thing that would make people like trip on this kind of shit is, let's say, for example, okay, and I don't think this is true. Okay, don't let me present this anyway. Don't let any of the fucking frog people like look at this
Frog
this
people.
way. Okay, all right. Because the argument right now, the funny component is, are people looking at this and saying like this is climate change's fault?
Oh, the fire?
Yes.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I know.
So there's I mean, Newsom said this in 2019 where he said like, we don't want Trump here. It's like he didn't believe in climate change or whatever. But if there were some connection where they found out that there was some kind of Islamic fundamentalism behind arson.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if that's the kind of thing, this is the kind of thing that you would say, we need to look into this more deeply. Versus the thing in New Orleans, like, well, this guy's a fuck up.
Yeah, so...
He believes in fucked up things, and he did fucked up things.
Yeah, and...
What can we do?
Yeah, so... I mean, the Cybertruck one's a little bit more interesting. I haven't seen too much news on that one lately.
You won't. It's been...
It's been already been memory hold. Yeah.
One guy died from it.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One truck...
Which is too bad.
One rented truck blew up, and one guy died from it.
Right, yeah. That guy, like... God, I want to know... I'll have to go look and see, on this, but I did see an interesting take on that about, like, his combat record and stuff like that, and, they were like, this might be a TBI case, so, traumatic brain injury, yeah, and then, like, because I read through some of his shit, it is fucking nuts, dude. And it's like, this one doesn't even match this one, but they're like all coming from him. And it's like, this is like 3 different people like glued into one dude. So, it's weird, man. So I'm just curious.
I would not doubt that one bit.
I don't know. So
again, let's get back to the we've seen this before. There's a reason that the guy climbed to the top of the bell tower and just started shooting indiscriminately.
That is correct. That
he wasn't right.
No.
And he wasn't just mad at certain people. He wasn't just
No. There's Homer Simpson. There's Homer Simpson.
That happened. As a matter of fact, wasn't there evidence at some point that that's the kind of thing that happened to the Vegas shooter from the Mandalay Bay?
That one, there's like a rubber band knot of like conspiracy theories around that one.
Oh my God, are there?
Dude, if you get your
that is an
finger caught in that
afternoon
one,
worth of shit to read.
It's a lot, man. But yeah, that is one of the ones is that like, okay, so here's a fairly wealthy dude, I mean, which is rare. Okay, you rarely have a rich just like the last one, the school shooter. You rarely have a straight female, school shooter. Yeah. So it was like it's a unicorn kind of thing. So, but like the whole thing with Mandalay Bay is like, yeah, there's all kind of there are multiple shooters, blah 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 blah, and it's like. Well, what about this guy? I mean, obviously he's involved, but still, at the same point in time, like you never saw like anything along those lines about mental illness, like legit, other than he's just crazy, But it's like, well, if he's got a tumor the size of grapefruit growing at the base of his spinal or his brainstem, yeah.
Well, and the fact is,
you might see a lot of Homer Simpsons,
Well, within that capacity, that's the thing. This is the part that people struggle with is. 2 things can be true at the same time, where, yes, you can have that going on, but you can be calculated and cognizant enough to get that many weapons into a hotel room, right? Where it's like, normal people aren't this, or they would be like sweating bullets. They'd be like, don't touch that bag. I got it.
Rather than like hiring a bell cap, they're like, can I help you, move your armaments into your suite?
So, and I know those guys like to make small talks like, well, that's heavy, sir. That's heavy, sir.
Oh, it sounds like 223.
You got a good ear, son.
You got a good ear, son. So, yeah. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy your stay. I get it, man. So yeah, but like the Cybertruck guy, I mean, I hope that one doesn't get memory hold too hard. So because I'd be curious because I've seen some like Military Tube out there has been talking about it a little bit.
Have
You
they?
know? Yeah, because the guy actually was a bona fide badass. So he's not some fucking 2-bit like private pile just going nuts on the
Right.
weekend. This guy is a bona fide battle tested, highly trained
This is
killing machine.
literally Rambo.
Yes, he's a Green Beret and
Yeah.
had been for 18 years, which is almost unheard of in the Army. You're almost not allowed to do that. So you're talking about a guy with multiple deployments, all kinds of accommodations. So a good civilian job lined up for when he was getting out. So, and then there's just this lunacy. His writings are just, I mean, he doesn't even know the right words for some of this shit. So, but it's just, I mean, there's something funky there that just doesn't make sense.
Well, even the have you seen where the ex-girlfriend talks about him like reverently? She was
His ex-girlfriend does that. Yeah.
She wasn't talking about it like, well, so the first time he jab uppercutted comboed me.
After the third suplex, yeah. No, it's not like that at all. Well, and even his family was kind of talking that way. So
Yeah.
a couple members of his family were like, "What the fuck?" Kind of thing. Yeah, it's just, and then like there was like pre-planning because he did go through Arizona because he could buy fireworks in Arizona.
It was Arizona.
It was Arizona, yeah. So it was
Okay.
like, okay. And then they've got like all this footage of him at the charging stations, and he's just dinking around on his phone, And it's like, there's something, and then like all the conspiracy. Oh, it's not the same guy, and the truck could have driven itself. Stuff. No, it is the guy. Okay, which makes which should make the mystery like that much more enticing. But no,
That's last week, dude.
I know it's last week.
That's
That's
last
okay.
week.
That's
That's last
okay.
week,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, the rest of LA will burn down, and we'll talk about something else next week.
Hey, dude, look. All right, so what happened to LA? All right, so I can just go back to this. You and I know this. When the LA riots were going on,
Mm-hmm.
when did they take it seriously?
When the Marines showed up.
And the Marines showed up when? Because the riots were getting into the rich part of town.
Oh, really?
That's correct. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
As soon as the riots were starting to encroach on the big expensive places, that's when the shit came to an end and they clamped it down. And so,
Well, the fires are already there.
well, this is what I'm saying is,
I mean, they burned down Malibu for crying out loud.
but the point that I'm getting at here is when the rich shit burns, that's when people get really upset.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's when people who like vote and donate and stuff. Yeah.
Correct.
gotcha,
So if
yeah.
you're talking about, instruments of change, well, you didn't keep the rich people's houses from burning.
That is true.
Now you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how long it takes.
But it's still also California politics, so
It's the blue team wins by default, man.
it's still, well, yeah.
The question is, what color blue?
It's just, which Democrat do you cycle in? I don't know.
Yeah, man, it's their state. Whatever.
No, we're gonna get more refugees to this state,
That's okay. That
and
makes,
they already flipped us.
dude, I fucking love it, man. It makes my house value go up. So, they pay California. They pay California prices for Colorado homes. I love it.
We got to should close this out.
All right, I'm
whatever.
done. I'm Pat.
Californians. I'm Jeffrey.
And we're leaving.
Yeah,
Getting the put.
yeah.